Good morning, folks. It's great to be with you. I hope you've gotten some good breakfast there. I was teasing Shad on the way in that he only had one burrito. And he said, well, they were watching things pretty closely back there. I think we do have some leftovers, so let's not leave anything behind. I really appreciate you coming out. It was a little earlier than our normal work day. But I wanted to institute something this year that I hope will become an annual tradition. You know, each time of the year, about this time, we do something with the faculty. It's called Faculty Convocation, and we welcome the faculty, many of them back to campus, many of whom have been away on research or other projects for the summer, and give them an update on the university, talk about directions, do some training, basically just help get the school year kicked off. And as I've been thinking about this, I just felt like we should do something similar with the staff. Now, of course, you folks haven't been away for the summer, so there's no welcome back here. You've been hard at it, okay? And we'll remind the faculty of that next week. Nevertheless, it is a kind of a, time to reboot and think about what's happening for the year. And it's really important from my perspective that you be aware of the things that we're doing because you're integral to that. Now, some of this gets worked out with academic affairs and on our educational mission component. But again, as you've heard me say this again and again, we can't do that without full coordination, support with the folks sitting in this room. So I want you to be aware of what's going on. We wanted to treat you to a nice little warm breakfast to get kicked off as a way to say, not welcome back for the fall, but thank you for what you've been doing this summer and what you'll be doing in the weeks ahead. And I know it gets to be a particularly busy time for some of you, especially as the onslaught of the students return. So it's my great honor to be here today with my cabinet, which I'd like to have them stand and be introduced. Linda Macon, Chief Planning, Budget, and Policy Officer. Val Peterson, Vice President for Administration and Finance. Ian Wilson, Vice President for Academic Affairs, who's already told me he's bored and will be leaving in 5 minutes. So just be sure to kind of hiss as he walks out of the room. You've already seen in action this morning Vice President Corey Duckworth, Student Affairs, Mark Archambault, Vice President for Development, and my trusty assistant, Kyle Reyes, who makes everything work. A round of applause for these great leaders. And I didn't see lurking there in the second row, Karen Olson, my trusty assistant. Karen, thank you. We do have some new faces or semi-new face, whatever a semi-new face is. I'd like to turn some time over to Alexis Palmer to say hello and introduce the PACE board. She is president of PACE this year. We've already been working with her closely, and we're delighted to have her on board. And she plays a vital role for all of you folks in helping run this staff association. So Alexis, would you come forward and introduce your team? Then there are a couple of other folks I'll call attention to after that.
Thank you, President. For those of you that don't know, PACE represents the Professional Association of Campus Employees, and so I want to introduce to you today the 2011-2012 officers that you voted in. First, we're going to start with our executive board, and we have a slide up here. I'm the president, and we have our past president, Mark Weisenberg, who's going to come up on stage with me because I don't want to be alone right now. So come on up.
What am I?
Oh, what? Haven't you figured it out yet? Oh, it's going to be a fun week. Our Vice President, Leslie Farnsworth. and our Secretary and Treasurer, Drew Huffaker. So that's our executive board members, and they're here to be able to voice the staff concerns that you might have on issues and help continue to make UVU such a great place to work. I also want to introduce to you, our administrative liaison, Mike Francis. He's not able to be here today, but he helps us really be that connection between administration and PACE. Can I have all of our senators stand up? Some of them might be throughout the room, and some of them are here on the front row, so go ahead and stand up, senators. Let's give them a round of applause if we can. These are the people you're going to want to talk to when you might have a concern or you want to have your voice heard, and they are great representatives for you here at UVU. And we also have a few committees. If we can have our committee chairs stand up. Let's give them a round of applause as well. We do a lot of things in PACE, just not attending meetings, but we actually take action and make some things happen here. So you can get more information on the PACE website. Just so you know, all of our meetings are open. They're the third Tuesday of every month at 2 o'clock in SC 213A, and you're more than welcome to come. And we look forward to representing you this year. Thank you. And thank you, President.
Thank you, Alexis. And Ron, if you'll note for her file that little misstep she made earlier, that would be good. Okay, I'm now going to invite Michelle Taylor to come to the stand. This is a little pitch on behalf of our Student Retention and Success Initiative. And the message here today, and it's a theme that's already beginning, which is, again, how vital everybody on this campus is to what our ultimate aim is. Our ultimate aim, you've heard me say it before, is student success. It's at the heart of our mission. And so here's just a few words from Michelle Taylor, who's here on behalf of Michelle Kearns, who couldn't make it at the last minute, about how all of us, wherever we are, faculty or staff, can be committed to and engaged in this all-important effort of keeping students on this campus and moving them through to graduation. After Michelle Taylor speaks, I'll have Ron Price come up. Ron's relatively new to us this year, new Associate Vice President for Human Resources, and doing an outstanding job, and his role and office and portfolio now touch the lives of all of us, and I thought you should see him and hear from him for a few words as we get the year kicked off. And after they're both done, I'll come back up for some concluding remarks. So with that, I'll turn it to Michelle.
The I Choose to Retain campaign is very important for our campus. We'll just go like this. As we close out our Title III grant, which will end at the end of September, we have created an infrastructure that will remain, and we're very excited about that because of the grant and the hard work of all of you, because it takes all of you to retain students, our retention rates have improved. But as you can see, we still have some work to do, and we still believe that we can make a difference. One thing to know is that retaining a student is so fundamental to the success of any university. It's just critical, and your role of staff is very important. You may not think that just that word of encouragement goes very far, but it does. Knowing someone's name and just taking an extra minute to refer them to the appropriate resource makes all the difference for a student. And I have found that myself. When I've said to students, did you know about the first year experience? Have you done orientation? Have you taken the student success class? A lot of times they haven't. And I'm always surprised that when I teach my student success class, many of these students have been to orientation, they have done their campus tour, they've done everything, and yet when we talk about some of the resources on campus, they have no idea what they are. And I really believe it's because they're just overwhelmed. They get overwhelmed with information at the beginning of school. And so it really, really helps if you will assist them and help them to know what those resources are, because they're just on overload during that first week of school. You know, I have found this myself. Not too long ago, I took a Muay Thai class. I know that surprises you. It surprised me. My son talked me into it, and after I did the first class, I was just exhausted. It was so out of my comfort range, and I thought, I am never, ever going back to that class. And when I got home that night, I got a phone call from another lady in the class, and she said, I just wanted to call you and let you know that I noticed you were struggling in class, like it was hard to notice. She says, you know, it gets a lot better, it's a lot more fun, we would really like you to come back. And so I thought, you know, I think I can do this. And so I returned, and I learned a lot from that class, and I would not have done that if I had not received that phone call. And you can do the same thing for students. Just an extra reach out to them to say, hey, I noticed that you're struggling. Can I help you? Can I get you to the right resource? How important that is. Just remember that it's all of our jobs to retain students, not because we have to, but because we love students. And it's a part of our job. And we are so lucky because we have the opportunity to have a noble calling as a career. And that is that we are changing the lives of people. And when we change the lives of people, we change the lives of their children and their children's children and on, and society as a whole. So I just want you to know that your role is so important, and we want you to remember that as you're reaching out to students this first week. Thank you so much for all you do. Thank you.
The passing of the baton, as we might say. I don't think I'll need that. Nice friendly faces here. Thank you, President and Cabinet, for allowing me to put my little shiny face up here in front of everyone. I am the original Ron Price, or Ronnie Price from UVU. So in the back, there's a table that I will be doing some autographs for those who need the official UVU autograph. I want to first of all say the first thing that I recognized in being at UVU was that I'm amongst a group of people who take time to care before they show you what they know. And that goes to a maximum that my parents always taught me, which is people care little about what you know until they know that you care. So first thing I want to do is show you the new face of HR. So I want you to look to the left. Come on. Your left. Look to the right, and you have just seen the new face of human resources. I am a believer, and I think my team is now, and after working with me for some odd 8 months, that you are human resources. You are our partners. You are the people that we not only work to serve, but to help you to be better. So the first thing I wanted to do was just put up a quote that reminds you that sometimes we shoot too low, or we aim too low as it relates to just our own work experience. And I'm going to challenge you all. I'm here to encourage you. And normally if I were doing this particular program, I would have probably started out with, let's get ready to rumble! And you're supposed to go like that. Because it is time. The excitement is in the air. The students are here. The thing that we do best, which is graduate students from UVU, is on. The game is on, and we are all game changers in this room. And I want to challenge each and every one of you today to be a game changer. We have some great stuff going on in HR. We've got career paths that we're developing to give you a clear line of sight between your career here. Not just a job. It's not just a place to work. It's a career. It's a career for something that many of us believe in and love very dearly, which is seeing students be their best. Not only in graduating successful students, but graduating leaders of tomorrow, graduating the Orrin Hatches and the presidents of the United States from UVU, not just great basketball players like Ron. The next thing I want you to do, and I'll end with this, is don't be afraid to be great. Don't be afraid, as Michelle said, to take that next level or to leap to the next level of customer service, stopping maybe what you're doing, whether it be sweeping a room or checking someone in, to get to know the students, to make a connection with the students, to make the connection with the faculty so that they know who you are. Caring is such a part of what we do in lifting our customer service from good to greatness, and it's very important that we do so. UVU and the time that we're in now is such an exciting place to be that I came all the way from Virginia, almost 3,000 miles, to join you in this quest to be the best university in Utah, and I believe that. But we're not going to be able to do that by just giving good customer service. We have to move on and do great customer service. So I challenge you all to move your customer service up a notch, and if you get in trouble for extending a higher level of customer service than what maybe you normally would, come and see me, and I'll write you a hall pass or at least some get out of jail free card, because again, I think we're there. I think you can feel the adrenaline, you can feel the excitement. We're going to be the best, and that's going to be better than the BYUs and better than the U of U's, because we are the Utah, the University of, now let me get this right. We are Utah Valley University. Thank you.
Well, Ron, that was a great cheer. We may or may not have him back next year. Well, listen, I want to take a few minutes now and, again, tell you where we're headed as a university, what we're focused on, what we're doing to drive the institution forward. I'm not going to spend a lot of time recovering the ground about our core themes. I think people are well aware of those now. What I think you also are aware of, that one of the things we've been really intensely wrestling with for the last little while is how to hold those core themes together. In some ways they're very complementary, and then in other ways there's some tensions there, and we've been in particular wrestling with the tension that sometimes exists between being a more serious academic, really rigorous, high-powered academic institution, while at the same time being inclusive, especially when by inclusive we mean, as we mean a lot of things by inclusive, but at least one of the things we mean is that we're a point of access, that we're open, that we give students a chance where they are. And again, those are, many times those fit hand in glove, and other times there are some challenges there. And so we've had these broad university conversations about this. I wanted to give you an update on that, but as I do so, rather than kind of rehash the core themes, I just want to reemphasize to you who we are, so that we all begin this year with this really profound appreciation of our size, our scope, and our impact around this community. So we are UVU. What does that mean? We're roughly the size of the city of Spanish Fork and larger than American Fork, just with our student count. If you just took our student count, we are the size of a couple of the major cities in this county. When you look at our 32,000 employers and our operating budget, well, that's roughly equal to the combined personnel and operating expenses of Provo and Orem. We are sitting here kind of carved into this hill, a city unto ourselves, if you will. And you are the folks that make it work. You are the folks that keep it operating. You are the mayors and the police department and the city council and the waterworks and the utilities. You are the folks that make this very large and critical and vital operation work. And we must never forget that, because with that size, with that significance of responsibility comes an even added greater sense of personal responsibility, that we need to take these jobs very seriously and do our very best to make all of that work. We are the largest, we will effectively be able to announce, I think this fall, once the numbers come in, the largest public university in Utah, and certainly the university serving the largest numbers of students from Utah. A higher percentage of our students come from Utah when they come into UVU, and 1 year later are staying in Utah. So you've heard me say a lot how indispensable we are to Utah Valley. We are truly becoming indispensable to the entire state of Utah as being the largest provider of undergraduate education for Utahns in the state. Our size is recognized across the nation increasingly. We're the 37th largest institution of four-year institution in the nation. We're the 5th largest employer in Utah County and contribute almost $400 million annually to the economy. That data right there is a little bit old, and we're working with Linda and her team to secure some new analysis about where we are, and I'm sure that number is going to go up from 372 million. You are UVU, and you are changing lives every single day. And that, for me, is the most exciting thing about this place. It's not just that we're so big and important in the sense of what we do for economic development and how many people we hire and how we stack up against other state institutions in the nation. It's what we do in the hallways and the classrooms every day and take these young students whose lives otherwise would have so much less opportunity and so much less chance for advancement and so much less chance for all the things that we know come from a good education, good health, good marriages, good opportunities to serve in the civic arena. That's all right there, and you're the ones helping to make it happen. So by all means then, yes, I want you here, part of the conversation, fully aware of the critical things that we're doing as an institution. So we talk about our unique educational mission. This is not just some distant aspiration. This is something we are already doing, and doing it in a way that I think will be increasingly nationally recognized because we're doing it on a national scale. You take a look that we are the 4th largest open admission institution of higher education in the nation. So a minute ago you heard me say 37th largest, that's without qualification, but of the open admission institutions, we're the 4th largest in the nation. If you look at the top 5, out of those top 5, we are the only one that has a roughly equal number of baccalaureate degrees and associate degrees. I showed these numbers to David Gardner the other day. David Gardner was longtime president of the University of Utah. Then he went off to preside over the University of California system, so the top 9 research institutions of California, illustrious national career in education. And he looked at these numbers and what we're doing. He says, there's nobody like you in the nation right now. There's nobody like us in the nation right now trying to do what we're doing on the scale that we're doing, and it's working terrific. Now, is it going to stay that way if we just get accustomed to the status quo and let things go with the drift? Absolutely not. There are all sorts of forces that will pull this mission apart if we don't get really serious about holding it together, and not just holding it together, but making it better. We become a better and better university. We become better and better at providing community college level programs and opportunities. And so that's what this unique educational mission process has been all about. So as you can see, the timetable here, we started kind of in the early spring of 2010. We knew early on, Linda and I and the rest of the cabinet just knew the numbers were coming. We had to think through how are we just going to handle the numbers, what are the decisions we need to make. That quickly fed into this desire to wrestle with the serious versus inclusive thing, and so we started this committee or council on our unique educational mission to look at 3 things: academic programming, faculty qualifications, and student transitions. And these committees, and a lot of you sat on those committees, really went to work. You took your job seriously. You thought through some hard issues. Compromises were made. People came together. We didn't get unanimity of thought on everything. We still have some areas where there's real disagreement that we're working through. But it was a really, to me, very impressive, good faith, intelligent effort for the university to come together and say, how can we do this? Since those committees made the report, the Cabinet's been spending an inordinate amount of time analyzing those recommendations, trying to integrate those recommendations with the plan for strategic growth, with our own observations, and we pulled that into a white draft, a draft of a white paper. This was circulated around campus, generated a lot of discussion, some things real enthusiasm and support for, other things real disagreement and debate. And so we've been to work on that. We've subsequently put that white draft through multiple iterations. In about a week's time, we will be releasing the latest draft of the white paper, which you can access. But let me give you some of the highlights of where we've gotten since our first release of that first draft of the white paper. So this idea that students will need to pay for all registered courses in a timely manner. We've had different ways of titling that or talking about that, but we believe this needs to happen, and so we're moving forward to make that effective for fall 2012. By the way, let me stress again, I'm just giving you just the highlights, very summarized fashion. Again, in a week's time, you'll have access to the white paper and can burrow into the details to the extent you're interested. We want to move our deadlines up, and so we're talking about a fall semester 2012 deadline of August 1, and for spring semester December 1, so that will be in place for next year. So we're already at work on that, sensing that there was broad commitment and that the logic was there to make that justifiable. We'll require receipt of an official transcript prior to admission. That also will be effective 2012. Thank you very much. I really pulled that one through, okay. Feel free to applaud at any time, by the way. You never need to feel hesitant to applaud when I'm speaking, so that's just, yeah. Maybe in some ways the crux of what we've come through in this issue is found in our structured enrollment. We want to remain open enrollment. I've said that from the time I walked through this door. It seems critical to our mission, and yet we do have this increasing challenge that more and more students are coming here not really prepared for university level work, especially upper division university work. So how do we sort through that? The easy thing would be to say, let's put admission standards in, and we'll start to become a more exclusive institution. But that undermines that inclusive mission. I really am so pleased and impressed with how the team has come forward with a mechanism that can simultaneously say we're going to stay open and inclusive and broad, and you come here and we'll try to help you wherever you are, but then to say, as you move along, you're going to have to really get more serious if you want to advance on up through the university ranks. And so we'll have some enrollment standards at a certain level. As you can see here, for students admitted before the age of 23, they have to have an ACT composite of 19 and a high school GPA of 2.5 or higher. New students admitted at or after 24 years of age will need to meet minimum requirements on the AccuPlacer. Transfer students have to meet college transcripts that include the equivalent of Math 1010 and English 1010, and a transfer GPA of 2.0. Again, there's a lot of detail I'm glossing over here. You can get into the details of it in the white paper if you will. But along with that, again, if you don't meet those criteria, we're not shutting the door on you. We're not saying you're no longer welcome here at UVU. We are going to create some pathways for you to come in and to get yourself ready for university level work or be steered into programs that are relevant for the kind of preparation and ability that a student may have if they're not able to meet those enrollment standards. And you can see some of the steps that we'll be taking there. So anyway, again, I'll let you just kind of read through the details of that and know that this is something we're moving forward on. We have a working committee on this. Again, it wasn't that there was perfect unanimity that we should do it or how we should do that, but I think if there was anything that there was, as much support for as anything, it was this, and there's been a continued good faith effort to dialogue on this, work out some of the details. We're still at it. It's going to take some time, but I think we're on track to have this ready for next year. We've talked about doing a couple of things organizationally. On one end, in terms of the kind of the upper end of upper division work, graduate work, we think we need to develop a graduate studies office. We're going to do more graduate work. Our master's programs are growing. We'll add more master's programs. We need an office to help us work through the policies and the processes to make that as smooth and efficient and professional as possible. So we want to bring that on board. On the other hand, we don't want to lose those two-year and certificate and training programs that are the essence of what might serve as a community college role in the area. And so this one's got to be a little more controversial. There wasn't always full support on this, but it's certainly my position, I believe the position of the Cabinet, that we need someone to every day be thinking about these programs, because the drift will always be in an institution like ours to always drift towards the university, towards the graduate, and to shed some of those community college functions. We think we need someone here, not that they're some internal, president of a community college, but that they are working within academic affairs, within programming, to help protect and expand and develop programming that meets the needs at that area of the university. So we plan to move forward with that. We want to solidify the aspect of University College and their commitment to student success. So Academic Counseling Center has already moved to University College. Academic Standards has moved, and Student Success and Retention will transition with a joint report between Student Affairs and Academic Affairs. Community survey. We are moving ahead on this. It's a little bit slower than we may have originally hoped, but we're well on our way. We've hired a firm after vetting them properly. We've had the initial design of a survey instrument, and within a couple of weeks here they will be launching that to help us figure out how we delicately balance this messaging about us, because again, we don't want to lose any ground. We don't want the community to think we've stepped away from our university commitments, but we don't want them to think we've abandoned trades and technical education either. So how do we simultaneously help the community see what we offer, what we're aware of, how good we are academically, how sophisticated we've become on a university dimension, while still playing the historic role that we've played at the two-year and certificate level program. So this survey will be very important. We're not going to be doing any major changes to our marketing until we can get some of that data and understand what the community wants, thinks, and feels about these issues. On the academic side, some of this may or may not be interesting to you, but I will give you the update. The ideas of program review in academic affairs were met with a general acceptance that we need to do that. We need to figure out some way to prioritize the academic programs that we will develop. But there was lots of debate, pretty energetic debate, about how to do that, and some real problems with the way it was at least initially cut in the white paper. So we've backed away from that, except to say that it's now gone into the new Academic Affairs Committee, the old Dean's Council, to really wrestle with those two issues. And I was at a retreat of theirs just this week, and they are working through it. So we're not abandoning the overall aim, but we are really trying to rework the instrument or the mechanism that we might use to achieve those kinds of things. And the Academic Affairs Council is really taking ownership of that and will be proposing something that will then be brought into Faculty Senate and back to Cabinet, etc. Rapid Response Team is well underway to being launched. Brian Birch and his crew in the areas of engaged learning are pulling together a team so that when we have a new business come into the area and they need some quick training, we can instantly respond in developing some training products and programs for them. And so that's almost ready to be launched. Again, some of these things, the details are getting worked out in academic affairs about what terminal degree is required for what fields. The role statements thing, that became a fairly contentious issue. As we've continued to talk about it, though, in academic affairs, I think the appetite for something like role statements is growing, but again, lots of debate about how to do that, and so we're stepping back and letting academic affairs take a cut at that, and we'll look forward to what they have to come forward. We also do think that we need to provide multi-year contracts for lecturers to give lecturers a more stable footing to come and teach. We rely on a number of them heavily, and so that looks like that's moving ahead. Finally, I want to talk about resources. We're already the most efficient institution of higher education in the state. We've got to become even more efficient. And I'm happy about that, because that, I think we can be, again, we're already a state leader, and I think we can be a national leader in showing the world, which is really in a moment of crisis. Education in this country is in a moment of crisis. As we look around the world, you see what's happening with the macroeconomic economy, and you see the trouble that Washington is in and that so many states are in. We are experiencing right now schools in our midst, and especially beyond the state, who are having much more significant portions of their budgets whacked away, with no sort of hope on the horizon about how that's ever going to come back except by raising tuition. And that, to me, is an untenable option for a school that has access and inclusion at the center of its mission. We can't just jack up tuition higher and higher to pay for everything. We've got to keep this school accessible to those who need it most and have the least. And so we've got to try everything we can to be as efficient as we can. So we are going to have a major push for extending distance education. Now, it's kind of a myth that distance education is cheap. It's just sort of computer-based training. You don't need a faculty member. That's not true. At least it's not going to be true here at UVU, because we're going to have quality education, and a quality education always means a quality teacher. So we are going to have quality faculty members involved with distance education. What it does save us on is building space. We can do a lot more with our footprint if we can move to technology-supported education, hybrid courses or fully online courses or programs to some extent. And so you'll be seeing a lot come forward on that. And we've been working hard to set policy and leadership in place to be able to do that. You'll see a big push for summer school. That's going to be harder now that we don't have Pell Grant support for summer school. But you folks need to get ready now to be saying, how do we start to make sure that we're able to staff things year-round, and that the summers start to look a lot more like fall and spring do around here. Evening and weekend. This also has big implications for staff, as, again, we look like we're a 24-hour operation, or at least an after-hours operation, with more and more students taking classes after hours. So many of our students work. It helps them with flexibility. It helps us move students through to graduation quicker, and we'll have to have the appropriate staff support to do that. So, again, you need to be aware of this. You need to be part of the conversation, helping us think through how we do this and making it work. We'll also be looking at course scheduling, the curriculum, making sure that we're not keeping students here too long, and other things that we can tie enrollment projections to scheduling. Again, we'll work through some of the details on just doing everything that we can possibly do. Now, having said that, I've said it again and again, we can get more and more efficient, and we will, but that's not going to solve the problem. We have to have additional resources, and I take this as one of my single highest priorities, that we have to go get the resources necessary to build some more buildings, to increase our base funding, to fight for compensation, to do the things that will allow us to fulfill our mission. And if we're not going to get that support, then we'll have to change our mission. And I hope and pray that we don't ever get to that point, and I'm going to fight with everything that I'm worth and give everything that I have and lay it on the table to get those resources so that we can do this mission, because I love this mission. I love what we do. I love what UVU is about, and I don't want it to change. I just want it to get better. And so we'll be doing that. And I'll conclude for just a minute about a word about how you might help with that. But we desperately need a classroom and office building, just a basic bread and butter classroom and office building. We're hiring lots of new faculty each year. We need office space for them. We need just raw classroom space to accommodate the students. There are other specialized needs that we have, but I don't think anything's more critical than that right now. We're delighted with the Student Life and Wellness building is coming online. It's very exciting to be part of those conversations. I think this is going to be a real dynamic game changer for the institution. We'll be getting into our science building in the spring. That's going to help a lot, but we've just got to stay relentless on this front. And we also do need to figure out what to do with our satellite campuses. There are going to be lots of staff implications on that side too. And so we'll be talking here as a cabinet soon about a mix of folks, faculty and staff, that can get together and help us think through what can we do at Wasatch, what could we do if we built something at Thanksgiving Point, what could we do if we had something in the south part of the campus. So let me just say on this note, in terms of some other highlights, institutional highlights moving forward, I'll make one last point about this securing of resources and then highlight a couple of other things that I'd have you pay attention to. On securing resources, I'm making this my highest priority, but I need your help. We need to get private resources and we need to get public resources. You should feel part of that mission. I need your help. The cabinet needs your help. You are UVU. We are in this together. So to the extent you can think about in your areas, are there people that you know that would support it? And maybe it's not with a lot of money. Maybe it's a $200 check here or a $2,000 check here or maybe even a $20,000 check. I don't know. But each of you in your respective areas ought to be thinking about this and talking with Mark Archambault and his operation, or even me, about things that you think could be done if we could bring people from the outside onto this campus and get them excited about sponsoring something or donating something. This is what great institutions do. They recognize they can't be supported alone by public monies, and so they go find private monies. And the more we can find, the more we can do. So I invite you as a partner to be part of this, creatively thinking about programs, ideas, initiatives, opportunities that will bring outside supporters in. Don't wait for me. Don't wait for Mark Archambault. Don't wait for your vice president. Be coming up with ideas yourself. Be thinking about this, thinking about your network and people that we can engage. And don't be squeamish about this. Don't think, well, you know, I don't want to ask anybody for money and that gets uncomfortable. Sometimes that may happen, but I want to tell you, most of what I find happens is that when people get introduced to this campus and you tell them what we're doing and they see what's at stake, if they have some means, they want to help. We just need to connect the dots. And so I really would ask and implore you to be thinking about this and going out there and bringing in folks who would help us if they just knew that we were here, that we needed the help, and that they could make a difference. And that's the thing about UVU. There are some other great institutions in this state where a little bit of marginal help for them is going to make a very little or marginal difference. But at UVU, given where we are and how efficient we are, a marginal gift at UVU makes a profound difference. And help people see that. Let them know this is a place where you can come in and where you might be lost at some other place, you can be a hero at UVU because of what you're doing. Public funding. Again, this will be a big fight. Val Hale and I will be working with this. We'll be telling Val Peterson what to do and working very hard. But folks, we are a democracy and you are citizens. You are not just employees of Utah Valley University. Go get elected as delegates. Go be part of the process. Write letters. Let people know how vital it is that we get support for higher education. Now, let me stress something here. As you do so, there are better ways to do this and there are worse ways to do this, okay? We don't want to be nasty to our legislators, okay? They are our friends in many respects. This institution is a creature of those legislators who have funded it and supported it and fought us for it. So I think there's a way to plea and to argue and to persuade that's positive, that's whatever. Again, I'm not telling you what party you should belong to or what not, but just to say as a tone that we can set, that we can be civil in our dialogue and positive in the way that we do that. We just need to help them see how important this issue is, and we need to get involved, and the more your voice can be involved, the stronger off we will be. So get involved, get elected, write letters, and we'll have more to say about this as the year goes on. Second, two other things. I'm not going to get into a long list of presidential priorities for the year. We're still in the process of working this out with the cabinet and the new president's executive leadership committee, which we've created. But there are two things that I'll just give a little highlight for that you'll see coming down the pike that, again, I think are especially germane to this group. The second is emergency preparedness. There was mention here today that we do what we do because we care. And we do care. We care about each other. We care about each other as colleagues, and we care about these good students who are under our care, who we have a special responsibility. Some of them just fresh from home where they would have been taken care of kind of night and day by parents, out on their own for the first time, and they're effectively in our care. If there's an emergency on this campus, we have to be ready for them. And my sense is that we're not. We're doing some things and we're getting better at some things, but we need a wholesale, institution-wide, renewed commitment to emergency preparedness so that, heaven forbid, if something does happen, we're not culpable, but more importantly, that we save lives. That's what we're trying to do anyway, right? We're trying to save lives metaphorically. We're trying to give them a leg up and a way out and a way forward. Well, none of that matters if their heart isn't physically beating. So we need to, and here we'll have to have an army of people who are well-trained and well-coordinated to know how to respond in an array of different situations. So this is going to be a cabinet-level priority. We're going to be talking about some university-wide training. We're going to be talking about some institutional physical facilities things that we need to do so that, again, I hope it's something we never have to use. But if that moment does come, we're going to be ready, and I'll need you to be doing that. It's again one of those things where we can do some things from the top and send some messaging and do some training that's going to take a lot of initiative and leadership, especially on the part of the staff. Because you are the folks who are here. You're in every nook and corner of the campus. Some of you will have immediate responsibility for addressing. Others of you will just need to pitch in and make sure that people are getting taken care of as we deal with these emergencies. So please, have your antenna up for that. Be thinking about that, and we'll move forward on that. Finally, I really appreciate what Ron Price had to say about customer service. For me, this is an expression of one of our core themes. We are engaged. And a big part of that means we are engaged with our community, we're engaged with each other, and customer service is simply an expression of that engagement. You folks are the front lines of the university. Typically, before any parent or student gets to a faculty member or a chairman or anybody else, they're working through you. They run into you on the grounds as they're parking and coming into campus. They talk to you on the telephone as they're trying to reach someone. They're seeing you in a counseling center before they even know what UVU is about. Their first impressions of UVU will be made by you. And they will decide right then and there how engaged we are with our community by the way that you treat them. And so I do ask, I implore that you give your all, you give your hardest effort and best spent energies to make every interaction with every student, with every parent, with every potential university partner, to be as positive as possible, to bend over backwards, to help people, to direct them, to give them encouragement or get them where they need to be or be responsive on their requests for information so that when people say, you know what, I had to do business with UVU and what a fantastic experience that was. Those people really care They cared about me. They cared about my son or my daughter. They cared about this little operation I was involved with in the community. Now, I know that you guys are, being in the front lines, they're not always easy. There are a lot of times we have to say no, we can't do things, people get irate and impatient. I know that. I'm just asking you to be as patient, forgiving, energetic, positive as possible, because it will make a magnificent difference in the way that this community engages with us and helps move forward that central core mission. You're already doing this, and I appreciate it. And I get lots of compliments about it, and I wish I had more time and more places to share it. Let me end on one recent one that came in. This was from a student. Came in this summer. President Holland, I just graduated in May, and I want to express my appreciation for my experience here at UVU. I received my degree in exercise science and will begin my master's program as a physician's assistant this June in Mesa, Arizona. It's taken a great deal of work on my part to get to this point in my life, but I've also received a large amount of support from my major's advisors, professors, as well as many other UVU faculty and staff. I'd like to give a special thanks to the following folks by letting you know how they've helped me achieve my goals. So this is a 2-page letter. I'm not going to read the whole thing. He goes on to talk about Dr. Jason Slack, Dr. Michael Bone, Dr. Andrew Creer, and Deb Thornton, all outstanding faculty members. What was striking to me about this letter, because I do get letters like this from time to time, is that he had equal praise, not just for the faculty, but for the staff. Let me call a few of these out. You'll have to forgive me if I mispronounce a name here. Steve Namany, Exercise Science Advisor. Steve is always thorough and extremely effective. He responds to all my emails in a very timely manner and is very helpful in making classes work out for my schedule. Scott Houle, head coach, for being a head coach of the track and field team, for being approachable about concerns, giving athletes a chance to compete when other schools won't. Barney Nye, Multicultural Department Academic and Financial Advisor. He always went above and beyond with his job. I could always count on him for completing any task. He wrote me one of the best, well-worded letters of recommendation. He never seemed too tired to help despite his popularity with the students. Sue Stevenson, counselor, Career Development Center. She taught me how to write an excellent resume letter that landed me a high-paying part-time job for college. She pushed me in my mock interview, preparing me for my grad school interview. She also gave me insightful tips on how to stand out in an interview. I got accepted to the school she helped me out with. She recently helped me write a well-organized CV via email for a scholarship application while I'm in Arizona. She's a prime example of someone who goes above and beyond their duties. President Holland, these faculty members and staff are just a few of the many more I list. I owe special thanks to all these mentors. My college years have truly been some of the best of my life. Honestly, I can say that over the past 5 years, I've grown into a new and better person. This enlightenment is accredited to UVU. I'm proud to bleed green and grateful to the school for giving me a chance to receive my education. There was a time I thought about transferring to another school, but I thought that if I did anything grand in my life, I wanted that university UVU is the school where I received my education, where I met my wife, and achieved my goal of getting into a physician's assistant school. There is no reason why a UVU student couldn't accomplish their academic and professional goals with all the help that the staff of UVU does for their students. President Holland, I appreciate the time you took to read this and for your service as president of the university. Sincerely, Danny Marini. That's why we do what we do around here. And there are 100 other people that he could have mentioned, and maybe 80 of those that he didn't even know or ever see. Because it's not just the counselors, but it's the folks like Lynn and his painting team back there that keep this place looking so sparkling. It's Pam and her custodial crew that keep this place looking like a university should look. We are all in this together, and the aim is this: helping young people like this get on with their life for a spectacular life they wouldn't have otherwise. It's an absolute honor to work with all of you and to start another year of this exciting endeavor together. Thank you very much.